Good morning. So here I am at Woodend Woods, just going onto the bridle path, the woodland area behind my studio, and I thought I'd just share some of the lovely sort of spring woodland here. And I'm going to do some simple colour studies today. I've actually been out here quite a lot, but earlier in the spring, and doing lots of mark making for my course. So now I'm going to do some additional studies, which I did for the autumn woodland, and I want to do some of the spring woodland, just so that I can get a sort of a contrasting perspective, I guess, and also because this will supplement what I've already done earlier in the spring. And I find that you can never have too many studies, so that's what I'm going to do. So in a minute I'm going to stop and I'll share once I'm actually at the location. And at the moment I'm still deciding what the location will be, and it's probably true that I will probably stop off along here, and also I will go to the clearing that I've been using all the way through. And anyway, I think you can see that now the leaves are really coming out, and there's still quite a lot of leaves to come, but the early blossom is now finished, and so the blackthorn that was in flower is now not. And this is all the Mayflower, which is yet to blossom. And you can see, getting a bit closer, I can see some of the buds ready for all that lovely blossom. Anyway, I'll catch you in a minute. Hello again. So just so that you know, it's really me. I'm really behind the camera, and it's not just a voiceover. I just thought I'd turn the camera around. And as it happens, I found some of the wonderful horse chestnut leaves that are just sort of behind me there. And they're amongst the first leaves to come out, I think. So they're in full leaf now. So I'm going to now carry on down this bridle path. You can see that's the way I'm heading. And I'll catch you in a minute once I'm set up. Okay, so here I am. I'm all set up. So I've got my stool and my A2 paper that I've divided into 4 with some tape, some masking tape. And I've just got a mix of soft pastels, oil pastels and some gouache. Okay, so I'm going to get started, and as is usual, I'm hoping you're going to be able to see, I'm just going to work on this corner. So I've divided it as I showed you with tape, and this is one of my sheets. So I'm going to start with the soft pastel, and I'm going to have to brush it off in a minute because it does actually get quite powdery. It's quite a cheap pastel, but it works quite well. So I'm going to just put some of the initial colour that I want down, and then I'm going to brush it all off. Brush it all off, the loose stuff off, I mean, not the whole thing, obviously. So I'm putting my yellow down and my green to kind of try and get the sort of start point of some limey green. And then I'm going to work over, and the interesting thing about these 3 materials together, the oil pastel, the powdery pastel, which is the one I'm using, and the gouache, is that they do resist each other quite nicely. So I'm just sort of generally rubbing it in. A lot of it comes off. You just have to build up if you want more. And I'm not going to worry too much, because what you do find is that once you start layering over, you do quickly get a build-up of the colour that you want. Just have to be a bit tenacious. And I'm probably going to come in now and just put a bit of gouache to get me started. A bit of dark. And I don't want these being too representative, so I'm not going to try and be too literal with it all. I'm going to start actually by putting in some line work, which I quite enjoy doing. And it's not, of course, the lines are the twigs and the branches, and there is an issue of potentially that it gets too representational, but I'm following around and behind and under and over, so in that respect it's less likely that I'm going to become too representational. And I'm going to start working in now with my oil pastels, and I'm looking for my bright green, because that's what I can see in front of me, and I want to get some of that on because it makes me feel better, because that's the, you know, I'm after getting the look of spring in this. I'm not after getting anything too representational, but I want to be able to look at these and say, yes, that's spring woodland. And what I'm noticing as I go is that it's not yellow enough. There's a lot of yellow in the back, so I'm building up the yellow using oil pastel over the softer pastel, and that's where you get some quite, you have to be a bit careful, because as you can see there, I'm getting a little bit grungy with it because I've got dirty. So it's quite a good idea, I haven't got one here, but it's at the side of me, but it's a good idea to have a bit of a rag so you can clean off your oil pastels. I must admit, I didn't notice that anywhere near as much in the autumn, because of course I had all these rich colours, but once you're wanting some really light, delicate colours, as in these limey colours, then it becomes more critical. And I'm going to work back in now. I've got the yellow in. I'm going to work over with another coloured oil pastel over, and I'm using the green, and I'm twisting it in my hand. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going over. And what I'm quite enjoying is the layering of these different plants over each other, and how there's a liminess coming through as these leaves are over the top. But then there's some darker ones that I want to get as well, and I want to get, there's a kind of a behind it, and kind of so you can see through, there's a much darker green, and it's not as olivey as I put on, so I'm going to have to layer over that, and I'm going to come and put in possibly this more brighter green. But again, it wasn't as bright and turquoisey as that either, so by layering them I'm getting something a bit more like I want, really. But it's not as dense as that, so I'm going to have to kind of work into it, and maybe I'm going to come back in and put some chalk in as well, the soft pastel I mean. So this also has, quite enjoying seeing all these white flowers out on this one as well. So again, you can work over, and that's quite a nice effect. And then I'm going to come back with some softer pastel, because I've just realised there's quite an interesting colour going on there. And I've just put soft pastel, now I'm going to put some oil pastel over. I don't want it to look like a tree trunk, but I want to capture that against the brightness, against the flatter green in that place. And I'm going to come back in because there's some limier green. So really I'm building up colour, and I'm being really, as hopefully you can see, not precious about this. These aren't going to be finished drawings. In fact, probably going to do some collage with these, and some taking a line for a walk with a sizzle, taking scissors for a walk with them, as I did for the autumn ones. I'll do that separately, but in a separate video probably, but I probably will work into these further. But I'm trying to get just this spring before it's too late, because otherwise, before you know it, your seasons are moved on and you've not captured what you wanted to capture on location. Now what I want to do now is I want to get some purple. I might actually use some more gouache, just to get, there's a dark line coming through, and I just want to get that, but I don't like that lumpy bit really, so I'm going to come back over. I'm going to use some purple. I think I'm going to use some purple oil pastel. You can see some black. I don't really want black. I want purple. This is purple, I think. Yeah. And I kind of like the fact that it's just kind of there, and it's kind of in contrast. I can just see it peeking through, and it's, you know, it's taking these, it has all these funny spidery things that kind of disappear, but then you see a few of them. And I'm just trying to get it so that it looks a little bit more. I'm trying to get some of that there. And I'm going to come back in because I can see some dark areas so I might come back in actually with almost with my purple again. But before that I want to get some yellow onto it. I don't want to go too mad with the dark. Having said that, I'm probably just going to put some in there. So I'm now going to come back over. I want to get more of a sense of the layering over here. So I'm going to put some more of my limey greens. And I want to get the feeling of the leaves coming over the top, so you get this sort of feel of the layers of the woodland building up. So I think that's what is quite nice. You can use, not getting too carried away, but trying to remind yourself of what you're trying to create in these, what you're trying to capture. And in this case I'm trying to capture, let me just put some more, the layering and the greens with an emphasis on the liminess. Okay, so I've now done a few on the page, and I've been trying to be loose and not at all representational. I'm working quite quickly, so these are the kind of results so far. I think it's quite helpful to kind of remind yourself that you're just trying to create the feeling rather than the literal sense of the literal scene of the woodland. But inevitably it ends up looking a little bit woodland like, some more than others. This was the one that you saw me do, and then this was the last one I've just done. I did this one because there was quite a lot of interesting fungus and I was trying to get that orange, and then this one trying to look in a different direction, and there was quite a lot of white space, quite a lot of clear sky, but it's not a blue sky today. So anyway, so I'll just show you the views I was doing, just as a sort of a reminder. And I looked in this all different directions actually, trying to get less representational, just to finish. That's the orange I was talking about. So thanks very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe. I'm so excited to have reached 1,000 followers now, so thanks very much for that, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.